Hello, people. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Some interesting times at Arsenal. Because in between minutes of winning, in between minutes of some questionable gameplay, my camera again is agreeing with me by the looks of things. Questionable gameplay, some issues, and everything. There are injury concerns surrounding Arsenal, and we must talk about this because it's not like injuries are not part of the game. Let's be real. At the same time, they are concerning some of our best players. So we'll see. Give me a sec. I'm just figuring stuff out. But yeah, for Arsenal, this Declan Rice situation definitely is not looking great. Obviously, at the moment, we genuinely don't know what is going on. We genuinely do not know what is going on with Declan Rice because he asked to come off during the game against Chelsea, and Arteta has confirmed it, and he has said that he felt something, and they need to reassess. And that is a big worry if we are looking from that perspective. Definitely a big worry, because if we lose Declan Rice, it could be very problematic for Arsenal towards the end part of the season. Let's be real. Obviously, about Odegaard as well, there are question marks surrounding him because he came back, then he got injured again. He wasn't basically registered for the game against Chelsea because, well, according to Arteta, they didn't want to risk him. Then there are some random rumors flying around in the Twitter world and stuff like that Odegaard could be out till the end of the season. And go figure. Genuinely go figure. Arsenal have survived the first test. The first big test Arsenal have survived, it was against Chelsea. Obviously, we still have to play City. We still have to play Newcastle. Besides that, we are playing teams we should be beating. Again, you don't know. Right, but Brighton is next. Brighton is next during the week. On Wednesday, we play against Brighton. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But ultimately, regarding Arsenal, for me, Declan Rice is one of the biggest concerns currently because, first things first, we have no replacement. Second of all, he is the one guy that makes the whole midfield tick, no matter how you look at it. And it is becoming very worrying. So we're gonna deep dive into all of that. So smash the like button, people. Subscribe if you're new. Leave your thoughts in the live chat, what you're thinking about Declan Rice, about Odegaard, about Arsenal's first test that they survived, and the upcoming tests throughout the whole course of the rest of the season, and all that good stuff. Even if it's not football related, don't be afraid to put it in the chat. Big up Ryan. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we were lucky. Big up Animal Shorts. We were lucky that Chelsea should have got at least one penalty, and they didn't. The referee, as I said, I don't talk much about referees because they are bad no matter how you look at it. At the same time, yesterday was another example how incompetent they actually can be, because Chelsea should have gotten penalties. Arsenal's counterattacks, like 3 or 4 of them, where Arsenal had a chance to go on a counter 2 versus 1, 3 versus 2, and gain a numerical advantage on the counter, it was stopped in its tracks instantly, multiple times. And again, that was not a great sign. So the referee was shocking on both sides of the pitch. So definitely that was a big worry. You think Brighton are gonna get points against us? And it is a very interesting one, because with Brighton, for Arsenal, it is a question mark. I just don't know. Brighton is one of those teams that on any given day, they can beat anyone, right? And Arsenal tend to struggle at times against Brighton, and I just don't want to suffer this. I don't want to see us lose or draw against Brighton, and then it basically, to a degree, could be the sole reason why our whole season falls apart. And that, for me, is a big worry if you're looking from that. Everton is a must. We should be winning Everton at home. We tend to do well against them par last season. Yeah, and Rice has to be subbed off. And that is the biggest worry. If player himself is starting to show signs and starting to indicate that he needs to come off, definitely something is there. The question is, how serious is it? Because if it's something minor, I would not be surprised if let's just say he plays on injections, he plays on painkillers and stuff like that, just to get throughout these latter parts of the season, of course. But at the same time, Arteta also said in an interview that he might not be available. He might be available. He doesn't know. He needs to be assessed. So, again, if he doesn't play, I think Arsenal lose way too much. With Declan Rice going out, if he doesn't play, Arsenal will lose more than maybe some people will imagine. Yes, over the course of one game, maybe we can cope with maybe losing Declan Rice, just like we have coped before with losing Saliba, with losing Gabriel, even though they have more adequate covers than Declan Rice has. Losing Saka, we have coped with. With losing Declan Rice, like that is something we have not explored to the full extent yet. And that for me is a big, big worry because if, as I said, one game we can cope, maybe. If let's just say Declan Rice, if it's like the worst case scenario, which I absolutely pray it is not, but if we lose Declan Rice, let's just say for a month or something like that, it could be the end. It genuinely could be the end. And that for me is the biggest worry of them all. That is something that really, really worries me, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you want to take your stabs at Arsenal. It definitely could basically derail the whole season, the whole last 9 games in Premier League and the rest of the season in Champions League, FA Cups, and the rust of the stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Big up Gunnar SC. Big up Lavakar. How you're doing? We played poorly. I don't know how like we were not great yesterday. We were not great. But at the same time, we are coming to this, let's just say, business part of the end of the season where it doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters that you do it. 3 points are most important thing at this stage. The big thing is Arsenal, we as Arsenal fans have been looking and watching and seeing this throughout the whole goddamn season, which at the moment is basically grinding our gears to a degree where it feels very, very, very unacceptable. Right? We want to see more expansive football, more attacking football. But at this stage, I'm not too sure we can afford to do that. If we could have afforded to do that in the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, right now we cannot afford to do that because any little mistake could cost us. Somehow in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, every single game almost, when we are ahead and we drop back, we cannot see the games out properly. We always give our opponents chances, 1, 2, 3 chances to get back into the game, to get that goal, to get that draw. And it has cost us points this season. And looking at the games that we will have to play till the end of the season, this type of situation definitely is one of those big talking points we need to discuss and we need to be worried about because we cannot afford to do this. We should not afford to do this, but we are somehow, with the experience actually that this team possesses, that these players possess, we should not be having these talks. Yet somehow in the last 10-15 minutes of the game, we become as inconsistent as Chelsea are throughout the whole season. You never know what you're going to get. Even though you kind of expect to get some solidity defensively, at the same time, you also expect some sort of shenanigans go on and Arsenal screw it up somehow. And that for me is just, that is that thing that sits deep inside of me every single time. Let's just say it's 2-1 Arsenal, 1-0 Arsenal. It's the last 10-15 minutes. We sit back, we give them the ball. I don't know why, but we do. And then you just sit there and you bite your nails. You have to take heart medicine, nerve medicine. You need to do some yoga, the wusa, and all this stuff just to keep yourself calm. Arsenal never make it easy for themselves. And that for me is a big worry because when we score the second, we should go for the third, fourth, kill the game off, and just that should be all she wrote. But with Arsenal, it's never the case. It's pretty much never the case apart from like pretty much handful of smashing wins. We haven't had that. We just have nerve-wracking endings where by skin of the teeth or by luck of the draw or somehow we just, get our way. Like seriously, and that's what it is. We usually just get our way. And that, again, for Arsenal, if you are an Arsenal fan, is one of those things that makes you worried. Let's just put it that way. It definitely makes you worried to a degree. Big up, Kwaja. Big up. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well today. Smash the likes and subscribe if you haven't already. Big up, haha, big up, big up, big up. I think it's Promise Gaming. I think gifted you the sub. I think the membership. Sorry, I think it was Promise Gaming. He was gifting yesterday and the day before yesterday. He gifted 10 memberships, and I think it was Promise Gaming who did that. So yeah, if he pops up in the chat, don't forget to say thank you. Genuinely, don't forget to say thank you. Let's just say it as it is. But yeah, regarding Arsenal overall, there are no like massive news, no massive like, let's just say, insane news. Let's just put it that way. The biggest news still are that, well, Declan Rice is under big question marks, and I don't know what to expect. I genuinely don't know what to expect right now, because with Arsenal, with the injuries, if history has taught us anything, just expect the unexpected. Let's just put it that way. With Arsenal, somehow it's always expect the unexpected. And Mikel Arteta has said it himself. He said it in the post game interview that Declan Rice himself has to be substituted off, and he's going to have to be checked and see if he's available for Wednesday. The fact alone that it is, I know they're being cautious because he's one of the main players in the team. He's very integral how Arsenal play in attack and defense, in our set pieces as well. He is one of the main focal points for Arsenal in this build-up, in this model of Arsenal team. They're playing the cards close to the chest and they're playing it cautiously. I absolutely get it. But the sheer fact and the sheer situation as a whole that Declan Rice asked to be subbed off, then he went down the tunnel to the dressing rooms. Obviously, he returned afterwards, right? But the fact that he, after the sub, instantly went down the tunnel, and Mikel Arteta is now saying that he needs to be checked, he needs to do the scans, and he needs to be basically reassessed. I'm not gonna lie, I am worried. It might be just the old Arsenal PTSD kicking into me as an Arsenal fan after all these years and after all these situations, circumstances, and emotions we have gone to as fans, with specific players getting injured, being into the unknown in terms of the status of the specific player. But I just cannot help it. Because with Arsenal, somehow there's always that one dark side of the cloud that always somehow manages to rain on our parade. And that is something I'm very, 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 very worried about overall. Big up, Hendon. Big up, Hendon. Big up, big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well today, my bro. Hope Monday has treated you well. Declan Rice is running on empty. He definitely is. He's running on fumes, best case scenario. Definitely running on fumes, best case scenario. Wheels are coming off this season mid-March, the graveyard month of the trophy aspirations. Could be the case. I hope it's not. I genuinely hope it's not, because with Declan Rice, like, for me personally, if we lose Declan Rice in the midfield, let's just say even for a month, right, or a month and a half, I think that is the end, because we don't have adequate replacement. We haven't bought an adequate replacement. We will try Eze there, we will try probably Havertz there, and we will try different players there. But even Merino, if he was available, we would try him there. But Merino is out. Norgard is a 6. Maybe Zubimendi is going to play in the 8, but I don't think so. Maybe. Obviously, we have Miles Lewis-Skelly, by the way. We have Miles Lewis-Skelly, and if push comes to shove, I would love to see Miles Lewis-Skelly in the 8. Maybe if the circumstances basically shove Mikel Arteta with his back against the wall, he will actually basically succumb to this idea, and he actually is going to use him in the 8. But besides that, like, it's definitely not looking great. Definitely not looking great, no matter how you look at it. I would rest Declan Rice and have Norgard and Skelly double pivot versus Brighton. That would help. That would help, definitely, in the physicality, definitely. Declan has been carrying injury for a few weeks. He's broken now. It feels that way. Declan Rice, in general, like, about 60-70% of the whole season that has passed right now, when you look at Declan Rice around 45th to 60th minute, he looks gassed. He looks like he's run out of steam and he's just fatigued, drained, and he has nothing left. But he still persists on doing all the job like a big workhorse, right? Like a workhorse, and it's working, obviously. But that means he needs to deep dive into his own body. He needs to drain his body's physical and mental reserves dry. And at some point, when they are going to get to that critical red zone, right, the body is going to break down and it could end up costing us. And that is something none of the Arsenal fans want to see. Let's be real. None of the Arsenal fans would want to see that. 4 likes so far, people. Keep smashing the likes if you haven't already. Not getting into that. Big up KKX. Big up Skelly. Odegaard maybe. Odegaard is injured as well, so Odegaard's not even with the team. So go figure what is happening with Odegaard. Like, Odegaard wasn't registered for the game against Chelsea because Arteta thought it was too soon. It was just a precaution. Then you have some random rumors flying around in the media, not in the media, in the internet world, that Odegaard actually has like a torn hamstring or something like that, and he's out till the end of the season. And then you go figure. Genuinely go figure, because nobody knows what is going on. Nobody knows what is going on. And people say Odegaard coming back into the team would be fantastic because we would get more control. Like, we don't need Odegaard for control, in my opinion. We definitely don't need Odegaard for control to control the games. But Odegaard in general as a substitute, as a rotational player, definitely is good enough to play. It's just the fact that he plays such a key role in that 10 spot for Arsenal in Arteta's eyes that he's always, most of the time, he's going to start if he's fit. And based on the last 2 seasons, he definitely is a big issue. He has been one of the worst performers over the course of the last 2 seasons, especially given that his stature, his salary, the fact that he's the captain, he should lead by example and everything. Definitely, he's not the 10 that we need right now. This is our problem, that we never do anything in January. Yes, and that basically, we could look back at that easily. Arsenal had a chance in January to sign a midfielder, to a defender, to a forward. Arsenal had chances, and Arsenal just didn't. Why? That you have to ask to Mikel Arteta, that you have to ask to Andrea Berta, to Josh Kroenke, to all these men up there, right? But with Arsenal in the January window, basically, you prepare yourself for the worst, right? That Arsenal are not going to sign anyone, and hope for the best that Arsenal actually are going to do something. Unfortunately, most of the time, Arsenal do the fact that the thing that we prepare for, the worst. They do nothing. We did that last year. We did it this year. Last year, we had prime time to sign left winger with Kvaratskhelia. We didn't. Now that Arsenal are finally apparently have figured out that we have left wing issues in the team, it looks like Martinelli or Trossard are on the chopping block, and in the summer one of them is gone, and we're going to sign a left winger. At least that's what reports are suggesting. But if it's true, whether it's going to happen or not, go figure. Go figure. Somehow with Arsenal, there is something with this, that Arsenal usually try to fix their issues season or 2 seasons too late. Just like they hold on to certain players that are not good enough and should be sold for a season or 2 seasons too long, right? And that basically has been a big issue at Arsenal over the course of the last over a decade and a half. Let's just put it that way, since 2010, right? And with Andrea Berta in there, I have the hope that something is going to change. I genuinely hope something is going to change. Merino's injury is a big blow, yeah. Personally, I don't like Mikel Merino in the midfield, right? Because for me, he looks better as a striker than he looks as a midfielder for Arsenal. At the same time, having him in that midfield right now would not be the worst case scenario for rotation, for team, for squad depth and everything. But the injury that came to Mikel Merino, and I uploaded a video as well when he got injured, and that was like weeks ago. The title of the video, it says, unfortunately, Mikel Merino has gone injured at the worst time possible for Arsenal. At the worst time possible. And right now, we are paying the price. We will pay the price, especially if Declan Rice's injury turns out to be something serious. then we 100% are going to pay the price. And unfortunately, bigger chances than not, we are going to pay the ultimate price, which is we are going to not win any trophies. That is the big issue here. Like, people don't want to admit that, but that looks to be the case if Declan Rice goes out. It took us 3 windows to sign Zubimendi. Yeah, it did. And was it worth it? Like, serious talk. Was it worth it for a year and a half, aka 3 windows almost? Well, year, let's just say for 1 year, 3 windows to wait until Arsenal sign Martin Zubimendi. Overall, we are what? Almost 40 games into 40 plus games in the season, if not more. Well, we are more than 40 games into the season. Looking at Zubimendi's performances, what he has brought to the team overall, not just specific games, but overall, that 1 year wait, that 1 year patience and everything, that all the debacle, was it worth it? Like, seriously, open discussion. Was it worth it for Arsenal to wait this long, to drag this all out, and to get Zubimendi and not go for somebody else for that number 6 spot? Was it worth it? Obviously, we're gonna have a stream where we talk about this stuff, most likely during the summer after the season has finished, and we know what Arsenal have or have not won, how Arsenal end the season. But at this stage already, we can start brainstorming these ideas. And question to you all, was it worth it? Like, let me know in the chat, was it worth it for Arsenal, this 1 year debacle and everything to sign Zubimendi? Has he been worth it, that 1 year wait? Big up, Roy. Big up, Roy. Hope you're doing well. Heart set out. Well, if we don't win anything, yes. If we don't win a major, yes. What has been happening at Spurs should teach us that just signing any player never works. You have to wait for the players that fit your system and wants to play for the club. To a degree, yes. And if you find that type of a player, let's just say, you not always have to wait. Because Arsenal tend to wait for favorable circumstances in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of situations. They wait for a specific moment when basically the clouds part ways, the sun starts shining through onto them, then they act. But how about you pave your own way? You actually do the opposite. You don't wait. You are proactive. If you have to pay, let's just say, 10 million more to get a specific player, you actually pay 10 million more and get that specific player to the team. Because you cannot help but wonder, would we have Zubimendi if we actually managed to sign, for example, Onana, right? When we wanted him for 50 million. Would we have Zubimendi if we managed to sign Douglas Luiz for 35 million 3 years ago? Like, obviously, hindsight is a beautiful thing, no matter how you look at it, right? You can speculate, you can talk, you can discuss, you can look at these things. But at this stage, after one season, when the season is basically at the end, pretty much, right? 2 months left, right? I'm just now starting to sit here and think that, was Zubimendi worth it? Was Zubimendi worth the 50 plus million price tag? Was he worth that 1 year wait after we signed Merino? Was Merino himself worth the 36 million we paid for him? Overall, looking at the contributions and everything he has provided for the club, was it worth it? Obviously, if we win the league, right? If we win Champions League, if we win the Premier League, these questions are going to be they're going to just disappear in the wind because we're going to celebrate and nobody's going to give a damn. But ultimately, you have to look long-term cohesion with the team and everything. And was it worth it? Not too sure. David Hornstein is reporting that Igor Tudor will be sacked if Spurs fail to beat Palace on Thursday night. Hornstein was the first to report on Big Ange being sacked. Hey, I would not be surprised because Spurs look absolutely useless. Shocking, pathetic, and embarrassing. And I'm not saying that as an Arsenal fan because we have like beef between the Spurs. It's just the cold, hard truth. I'm sorry. Because Spurs are pretty much on brink of being relegated. There's a 32-point gap between Arsenal and Spurs. If Arsenal lose every single game right now, and Spurs win every single game, they still would not catch us. Genuinely, they still would not catch us. That's how nuts it is. Spurs are... What's Premier League table saying? What is Premier League table saying right now before the game week 29 or 30 for Arsenal, depending on how you look at it, right? Arsenal currently are sitting pretty. First in the table, 5 points clear and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. City have a game in hand. For me, it's 2 points because I expect City to beat Palace easily. So 2-point gap. And Arsenal have no room for error. But look at Spurs, since Roy Marsh is mentioning Spurs, right? They are on 29 points. There's a 4-point gap between West Ham and Spurs. That's actually scary how close Spurs are to relegation. Way too scary than it should be. Way too scary. No matter whether you like the Spurs or not, definitely not great. Because I would not wish that to happen to my club, so I feel sorry for Spurs fans. I'm not gonna lie. Happy Totteridge Day, everyone. It's the earliest occurrence of centering of them. It looks that way. If Igor Tudor... I would not be surprised if Igor Tudor gets sacked, by the way. Because... if you look at Igor Tudor's managerial jobs, right? If you look at Igor Tudor's managerial profile, it's not great. Genuinely, it is not great. Because people sometimes overlook these things, right? But look at this. Igor Tudor's managerial profile. It's definitely a worrisome situation. Let's just put it that way. Look at this. He has been pretty much he changed jobs yearly. Every single year, assistant manager, then manager, gets the 70 games, so 2 seasons, let's just say, right? New manager, year ends, year passes, year passes, and he gets even sacked between the same season. See, 2 months at the job and he got sacked from Udinese. Then year. Then you move a bit upwards. Juventus. Few months. A year, and everything. He literally has had about 12 jobs in 12 years. What did Spurs expect? Serious talk. What did Spurs expect when you hire a manager who has had 12 jobs in 12 years? That is actually embarrassing. But Tudor never lost his opening games at all clubs he's managed before Spurs. Well, it must be a Spurs thing, isn't it? Jose Mourinho as well. He has won trophies with every single club he has been at, except Spurs. Must be something to it, shouldn't it? That's actually kind of insane if you think about it. There are some weird stats that revolve around Spurs, which are genuinely madness, to say the least. Genuine and sheer utter madness. By the way, I was scrolling to X as I was having lunch today at work, right? I was having a bit of a snack on a break. Look at this masterpiece. Nicholas Jover's contract at Arsenal contains a bonus clauses for goals from set pieces. He held a strong hand in negotiations last year with interest from elsewhere, right? This is the nuts part. Arsenal have scored 16, yes, you heard it right, 16 set-piece goals in Premier League this season. That doesn't include Carabao Cups, FA Cups, and Champions League. This guy's bonus he's gonna get for each goal scored from the set piece. Oh my goodness gracious. That must be some stratospheric numbers, to say the least. Because if you think about it, Even if it's 5 grand, right? 5 grand a goal from set piece, even 5 grand, 16 in Premier League, that's £80,000 instantly into your bank account. How nuts is that? If it's 10 grand for a goal from set pieces, that's 160 grand just from Premier League set piece goals. That's actually insane. But fair play to Jover, by the way. Fair play for Nicholas Jover, because he had interest from other clubs. He held his own. He said, you pay me these bonuses and we're going to score the set pieces. You pay me. And Arsenal are doing that. Arsenal are doing that. Jover has been the main guy into this. And fair dues, genuinely. Respect to him. Standing ovation and clap and everything. Fair dues and fair play to Nicholas Jover for standing his ground, what he believes in, and it works out. Genuinely, it has worked out for him tenfold. He's he's becoming rich from Arsenal set pieces. Let's just put it that way. Like, that's how wild it is. That's how wild it is. Give me a sec. Yeah, here we go. I hope Spurs get relegated. We'll see about that. Not far off it, 4 points, and with 9 games to go, it's definitely a possibility, or 10 games for Spurs. I suspect that Igor was a cheap to hire, and there is a quick release clause in his contract. If he doesn't win a game in the first 4 or 5 matches, Spurs cannot hang about waiting for a win. Oh, Spurs, definitely. When was it? Yeah. After Spurs lost to Fulham, right? After Spurs lost to Fulham, there was a stat that, I'm not gonna lie, it shocked me a tiny bit, because this was the first time since 1994, so 32 goddamn years, since Spurs have not won 10 games in a row. 32 years since Spurs have not won 10 games, once at least in 10 games. How insane is that? 10 games without a win. 32 years. Spurs are beating records, here. Genuinely beating records. But yeah, if he doesn't game in the first one, yeah, exactly. Big up. Big up, Vibrout. Big up, big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well. Why did Juventus sack either Tudor? Because he was shit. No, yeah, 9 games to go. 9 games to go. We take it 1 game at a time and pray for the best at the end of the day. 9 games, 1 game at a time. Every game is like a cup final, and we pray for good performances, no injuries, and goals. And clean sheets as well, let's be real. And solid defensive performances. We pray for all of that. Unfortunately, we are not going to get all that, unfortunately, because I expect injuries. And that already is a big worry, especially if it happens to some of the main guys. Then we could be cut. That, for me, is the biggest worry. I fully expect injuries. It might not happen while they are at Arsenal as well, because there are international breaks right now starting once again. And you know what happens during international breaks. Those going to be such nerve-wracking follows. I'm going to watch these internationals. I'm going to follow them with hopes, prayers, and everything, just so Arsenal players don't get injured. Because if Declan Rice gets injured, Gabriel Saliba, David Raya gets injured, or someone like that, it could be very, very, very bad, to say the least. Man, I watched Hincapié highlight. Yeah, Hincapié is very good. Even though he scored an own goal yesterday, he was fantastic. He is a fantastic player. Arsenal have an option, not an obligation, by the way, just an option, apparently, to buy him for £45 million. And I genuinely pray, hope, and inshallah and all this stuff, that Arsenal exercise that buy option and we sign Hincapié full-time. I like what I'm seeing from Hincapié to a very high degree, and I hope he stays at Arsenal for quite a while. Even for Ecuador, he's a very, 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 very good player. Very solid, a partial captain sometimes, plays center back, plays left back, and everything. He is fantastic. Exactly. We have to buy him. We have to buy him 100%. Yeah, Getafe are 1-0 up against Real Madrid. Madrid derby and Real Madrid are losing. 40th minute though, and it's at Bernabeu, so just wait for it. By the way, yeah, do your FPLs. I'm gonna do my FPL after this stream. I'm gonna end the stream in about half an hour or so, and I'm gonna do my FPL then, 100%. Last week was kind of good for me in FPL, so I cannot complain. Maybe Spurs will appoint Jack Wilshere as the new manager. You never with Spurs. Yeah, but Jack Wilshere is not gonna go there. Jack Wilshere actually has some pride and everything regarding Arsenal, and he's not gonna go there. I mean, he benched Skelly and Calafiori. Yeah, like, very hard to say that he benched Skelly, because Skelly, as soon as Calafiori was good to go, Skelly was just sent to the furthest reserves of the bench instantly in the beginning of the season. And you can see that Skelly has not recovered. Skelly is also not a left back. I want to see Skelly in the midfield. Skelly by default is an 8/6, depending on the situation. In the youth system, he was an 8/6. It's only in the last year or so, and when Mikel Arteta has been the manager, he envisioned him as a left back. He saw that Zinchenko type of situation going on, and he utilized that, and he played him as a left back. Skelly had a phenomenal season last year. Genuinely phenomenal last season he had. Obviously, towards the end part of the season, he got figured out a bit. He's 18, so the experience was not there. He got some, well, let's just say, as it is, dumb yellows and reds and all this stuff, sometimes even bailing some players out for their mistakes. It wasn't even his own mistake. And yeah, I think his confidence to a degree has been shot to bits as an 18-year-old, being somewhat impressionable as well with this. I think his confidence definitely is not up there at the moment. Yeah, Skelly's run against Atletico Madrid through the midfield was fantastic. I would love to see more of that, hence why I want Skelly to play in the midfield. Why, for example, we don't sub on Miles Lewis Skelly for Declan Rice when we have a chance? Also, for me, is a big mystery. Why Declan Rice is why he has to play full 90 pretty much, or actually full 90 plus added time, which is again 15 minutes almost sometimes, looking at all the stoppages and everything. So at the end, he plays like 100 plus minutes when we are 3-0 up or 4-0 up at times. Why does he play some unnecessary games where basically Norgard can do the job, and other players can do the job? Like, that is a completely different question, but again, that is a very big question for Mikel Arteta, because we had the same issue last year with Gabriel, for example, 7-1 up against PSV, and he starts. Against Preston, why does he play? Saka plays against Preston when he doesn't have to play when we're 3-0 up. Why? Like, seriously, why? Only time Skelly was meant to play as a CDM, Calafiori got injured. Yeah, exactly. The one time he could have got the chance, the stars didn't align for him, unfortunately. And it has gone down again. Boom. Actually, why after his breakthrough season, he's sitting on the bench for so long? Yeah, exactly. That is on Mikel Arteta, no matter how you look at it. That is on Mikel Arteta, because he's the manager. He needs to figure this out. Didn't Skelly win an award as well? Like, give me a sec. Yeah, Skelly won the 24-25 standout breakout player of the season for Arsenal. And after that, he absolutely has been shut out of the team partially, to a degree. And that, again, is a big issue here. Very big issue. Mikel Arteta should figure out how to manage him, when to give him time, when not to give him time. And it's very evident that he kind of maybe doesn't even want to give him time in the midfield. He just wants to give him time at left back. But with Hincapié playing the level he's playing right now, if Calafiori is back fit, Skelly is not going to see in the pitch pretty much at all, almost, unless Hincapié plays center back to substitute of Gabriel, and Calafiori has to come off for Skelly. Unless something like that happens, small chances Skelly is going to play. Maybe, again, as I said, unless Mikel Arteta's back is against the wall and he needs to play Skelly in the midfield because something goes wrong with Rice or someone, maybe then. But besides that, like nothing. Absolutely nothing. And for me, with Skelly, that is a big issue in that regard. For me, with Skelly, that is a big worry because he is such a talented young player with so much potential, and unfortunately, getting mistreated. Now, any news on Arsenal so far? Because I'm trying to find something about Odegaard or Declan Rice's injury and stuff like that, but I haven't seen anything, absolutely anything throughout this day. So ultimately, I am just sitting here with questions. What is happening? Where are we? What is going wrong? And all this stuff. And I just want some answers. Genuinely, I just want some answers. As most Arsenal fans, I would assume. And unfortunately, we just don't get them. We just don't get them. And that, again, is that worry that Arsenal, we don't get the answers we sometimes need. We are asking all the right questions. The issue is we just don't get the right answers. I'm just reading some articles about Arsenal, and it's not looking some things. Like, who makes this shit up? Serious talk. Serious question. For example, article about Arsenal, right? Where is it? Here it is. Like, who makes this stuff up? It's Metro, right? Mikel Arteta has been told he cannot trust Victor Gyökeres after Arsenal's crucial Premier League win over Chelsea. Who has told him that? Like, serious talk. Who has told Mikel Arteta that he cannot trust Victor Gyökeres? Like, who has told him that? Yeah, Liverpool legend. Of course, it's a Liverpool legend, not an Arsenal legend. Only somebody else. How comes everyone speaks louder about our club than we do? Like, make that make sense. Make that make sense. Because it's starting to feel like more people want to see Arsenal lose more than anything, no matter how you look at it. There are so many signs, there are so many opportunities for many people to praise Arsenal, right? But at the end of the day, they never do. They absolutely never do. And as I said, there are more and more people want to see Arsenal fail. I'm sitting on TikTok, I'm looking at the clips and stuff like that. Randomly, Rory Jennings, a Chelsea fan, if you know, pops up, right? And then the caption reads, and he talks about becoming a City fan until the end of the season. That's how desperately many people don't want to see Arsenal win. They're ready to even switch allegiances just to see Arsenal fail. How embarrassing is that? To be honest, speaking of that embarrassment, our own fan base is partially at fault at this, because a few years ago, they were all Spurs fans on May 5th, I think it was, when they were playing City and Son missed that one-on-one. They were Arsenal fans doing Spurs watch-alongs and sitting in Spurs shirts even, and to a degree, and all this stuff, chanting and supporting Spurs. Like, that is pathetic and embarrassing on its own. Seriously. Do you see any Real Madrid fans cheering on Barcelona? Do you see any Celtic fans cheering on Rangers? Galatasaray fans cheering on Fenerbahce? I don't know. Who else is there? Inter Milan fans cheering on AC Milan. River Plate fans cheering on Boca Juniors. Like, come on, what is this crap? Serious talk, what is this crap? Metro article written by some show. Yeah. Nah, it's not him. Not him. This time it was not him. Trust me, this time it was not him. I'm just curious, like, what is happening in this world? Like, it's very weird that Arsenal don't want to do. There are no news on Arsenal that many. Ooh, look at this. Look at this. And this is an interesting one. I'm not gonna lie. This is about the Italian stallion, Riccardo Calafiori. Look at this. James Holland, whoever he is, by the way, whoever the hell he is, frustrated Arsenal star makes shock exit admission. I'd like to return. And here we go. Arsenal defender Riccardo Calafiori has spoken openly about a return to Roma amid his struggles for starts under Mikel Arteta. Interesting. Overall, Calafiori has made 54 appearances for Arsenal. 54! Holy crap, he's been injured for such a long time. Arsenal this season alone has played in this 25-26 season, what? 28, 36, 39? About 45 games Arsenal have played this season. Arsenal have played 45 or so games this season alone, and Calafiori has played 55 overall. He's been injured for almost the whole goddamn season for Arsenal. Yes, he hasn't been rotated in at times, but most of the time, like, that's actually insane. He was a regular starting 11 in the first half of the current campaign, but has found minutes hard to come by since returning from muscle injury, with Piero Hincapié taking his place at left back. Right, Hincapié has been phenomenal for Arsenal. I'm genuinely hoping Arsenal exercise that £45 million buy option and bring Hincapié to Arsenal. He actually feels like a proper Arsenal player. That makes his comments about rejoining Rome even more interesting. Calcio Mercato. Quote him saying, I'd like to return to Roma sooner or later. Obviously, we can't plan our career now, but yes, I can imagine it. That sounds like a guy who has given up. Seriously, that sounds like a guy who has given up and he just don't want to play at Arsenal. Seriously. Also, because I left halfway, everything started out really well. Goals, I even had a chance to play a bit more. The player also discussed his rather surprising move from Roma to Basel on August 22nd. Nobody cares. And all this stuff. Very, very interesting. Calafiori cannot simply switch to playing as a center back, as Gabriel and William Saliba have those places locked down. True as well. Calafiori is more of a center back than a left back. First things first, let's be real. If we played 3 at the back as a left-sided center back and 3 at the back, he would be fantastic. As a wing back as well, he would be fantastic. But not as a wing, not as a genuine left back. And looking at how Hincapié is playing with his performances and everything, it's just would be the right decision for Calafiori. Would genuinely be the right decision for Calafiori to decide, basically, to leave. I would not blame him. The question is, can Arsenal make any money on him? That's the other question. Could Arsenal make any money on him? We paid 45 million for this guy. Will we make the same amount back at least? I'm not so sure. And look at this. Look at this injury record for Calafiori at Arsenal. It's actually insane, if you ask me. 2-7, 2-7, 9, 13, 13, freaking hell, 16, 26, 31, 40 games. Look at this injury record for Calafiori. It's not great. Definitely not looking great, is it? For Calafiori at Arsenal. Without shadow of a doubt, not looking great. I don't pay heed to these any articles. Yeah, I know, but it's interesting to go through them and discuss some topics, because every time you read an article like that, you instantly have like 3, 4, 5 minor topics you can discuss. And it's very interesting in that regard. Don't have to talk about that crap. Don't talk about the article. Just talk about some ideas proposed in that article. It's very interesting. Send that unicorn back to Roma, even though we signed him from Bologna. Hey, Calafiori is always injured and complains he isn't getting minutes. Make it make sense. Exactly. Mind you, Calafiori can't handle the intense training by Arteta, and that is why he wants to leave, so he stops getting injured. Exactly. He wants the warmer weather. He needs that Dubai training. Will Calafiori take a pay cut to leave? Well, to be honest, 120 grand per week, it's actually not that much, even for Serie A, if you ask me. It's not even that much, even for Serie A, depending on the club you go to, obviously. It really solely depends on what kind of club you go to, but if he wants to go to Roma or someone like that, I would not be surprised. Serie A, give me a sec. Salaries. Where is AS Roma? Roma. Let's see the Roma salaries, just so we can have some comparisons. Just curious. Wait. Let's take away euros. Let's go to British pounds because it's UK and all this stuff. Here we go. Look at this. These are the salaries in at Roma. It's actually not too bad. Serious talk, not too bad. If someone like Dovbik is on 92 million, or 92,000, sorry, Hermoso is on 108. I can, with Calafiori being Italy international and playing actually somewhat decently for Arsenal, I'm not gonna lie, I'm playing very decently for Bologna. It would not be too bad if he returned to Rome. Obviously, Paulo Dybala is in God mode there. But 120, if he gets even 110 or 100, it would be there or thereabouts with some bonuses, some additions potentially. It would not be the bad. Like, serious talk. Yeah, no, I know. He was on 12 grand per week before joining Arsenal. I know. But since he's on 120 at Arsenal, like, selling him, if he goes to gets like, look at this, for example, Evan Ndika gets 85,000. Like, why? I know he has been actually very good for Roma, I'm not gonna lie, but still. Brian Cristante gets 86. Personally, I don't rate Cristante too much, but he actually has been very solid for Roma, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, why not? Calafiori, 120 grand. Like, if we look at some other teams, who else is there? Where is it? Now, for example, Inter Milan. What is Inter Milan saying in these wage things? Obviously, Lautaro Martinez will be the highest paid player because, well, let's be real, it's Lautaro Martinez. He's the captain and he's the main poster child. See? 120 grand if you look, for example, at Inter Milan, not looking too bad. Obviously, they have Di Marco on that left side, so they don't need him. At the same time, why not? Where is AC Milan? AC Milan have that one left back Arsenal are looking at, don't they? As well. If I'm not mistaken, so we'll see. We'll see. Great British pounds. Big up, Jackie. Big up. Hope you're doing well. Big up, DJ Jackie. How are we looking here? Nkunku, 153. Rabion, 153. How has he managed to scam that? Manjan on 106. Modric, 107. Respect to Luka Modric. He's on 100 grand a week, and he still plays better than 99.9% of the Italian league. And he's what, 39? No, he's 40 years old. He literally is 40 years old, and he still plays better than most of Serie A, ironically enough. Like, I don't, like, where is that left back? Samuel Ricci. Estupinian. Pekayo Tomori, Ismail Bennacer, Matteo Gabbia, Pavlovic, De Winter, Fulkrux, low. Aketeme, Zamax Jimenez, Toriane. Samuele Ricci. Where? Where is it? Does look too bad. Does not look too bad. Anyways, I would start Calafiori at left back against Mansfield Town. Yeah, Kinkapia definitely deserves a rest and starting. If against Mansfield, Calafiori at left back, Skelly in the midfield, Madueke starts, Jesus starts, Mosquera starts. If Ben White is fit, he can start. Like, we should not need players like Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Victor Gyökeres, Zubimendi, even Kepa, Gabriel, Saliba, and these type of players to beat Mansfield. Yes, I know it's an away game. Mansfield will be really up for it. They have already caused a massive upset, beating out, eliminating Crystal Palace. And although Crystal Palace are a mess right now with losing everyone, and they just lost under Glasner. But overall, seriously, I would not be against that. Like against Mansfield, definitely we could use some heavier rotation. Rest up some players before the first Champions League game and everything. Big up, Gavin. Big up. How many managers Spurs are going to sack? I think 2 or 3. Well, 3. I would say 3. Would not be surprised. They sacked Frank. They're going to sack Tudor. I think 2, and then the third one is going to see it out. Depending on circumstances. Let's just put it that way. Because Spurs are a massive mess right now. Already read an article today that Spurs players, thanks to Daniel Levy's rules and some clauses he has put in their contracts, they will get up to 50% wage cut. And that was also just to protect Tottenham as a club money-wise, so they don't lose money if they get relegated. So Levy very openly knew that the Spurs are going down. Let's just put it that way. Felt like he knew that they're going down. At some point, at least. Interesting. Liverpool are interested in Dumfries. Not too... Well, Dumfries physically would fit, but overall, yeah. I just realized if Ten Hag was still at Leverkusen, our picture of them would be... Oh, yeah, but Leverkusen actually are in a very good form. Leverkusen are actually in a somewhat decent form. They have very mixed results overall, but they are going for the Europe at the moment. They are 4 points off Europe and Europa League. 6 points ahead of 7th place. They're sitting in Conference League right now. But they are a very good team. They definitely are a very good team. And Schick is on a good form. They have some good ballers as well. Still remember the times when they had like Diaby Arsenal were linked with and everything. Arsenal signed Leno from there, obviously. Like Granit Xhaka, hey. They have some Hinkapie, of course. They have some very good players like Tapsoba as well. They used and everything. They have some good players. I fully expect it to be a tough game. I don't expect it to be as tough as it was against Bayern Munich, but playing in Germany in general, with their fans, with their atmosphere and everything, it's gonna be a challenge no matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter who we have easier draw and all that crap, but playing against Leverkusen is no piece of cake. Let's be real. Leverkusen had to qualify and they had to get into Leverkusen had to get into this. Leverkusen had to get into this. Leverkusen qualified as the 16th team. Leverkusen qualified as the 16th team. In Champions League, right? In Champions League, Leverkusen, where are they? They drew against Copenhagen. They lost to, PSG, ironically enough. They beat Benfica, and we saw what Benfica did to Real Madrid as well. It was not easy for them. They drew against Newcastle. They lost to Olympiacos, which was weird. They beat Villarreal, although everyone was beating Villarreal at the time. And now again they beat Olympiacos in elimination stages now. On aggregate 2-0, they beat Olympiacos away and drew at home. And for Arsenal, it's definitely going to be a very interesting one. What's something very interesting I just noticed? Big up Oaxaca, big up. Won the mixed relay and biathlon junior worlds, yeah. Yeah. We won also the men's biathlon as well. Our 16-year-old is just massive improvement on Rastargullos with pace. And also, he has much better shooting. So definitely we look good in biathlon. Cannot speak partially. Hella tired. Look at this, by the way. Look at this. Arsenal, like, it's looking very good, isn't it? It's looking very good. Look who Leverkusen have to play before they come to England, before they come to London. Look who they have to play. Big up, Dr. Seymour. Big up, my guy. Hope you're doing well. Hope this Monday is treating you fantastically well. Hope the Vino is going down smoothly. But yeah, see, they have to play Bayern Munich. Interesting, isn't it? And they have to play them at home as well, ironically enough. But Arsenal are very lucky in this regard because Leverkusen are playing Bayern Munich before they come to the Emirates, right? And before Arsenal play Man City in Carabao Cup final, City play against Real Madrid. Like, obviously, it should mean nothing. At the same time, it means a lot, no matter how you look at it. It definitely means a lot if you look from that perspective. Like, people say, oh, it's just that game, oh, it's just this game. But people tend to overlook these things. People definitely tend to overlook these things at times. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we cope, how other teams cope with these schedules, because many teams are playing some tough games just before Arsenal. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Arsenal adjust, how Arsenal adapt, how those teams adjust and they adapt. So overall, it's very, 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 very interesting. I'm not going to lie. Very interesting. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, time only will tell. Time only will tell. I'm sick as a dog today. Damn. Drink some more wine. I heard it helps. My advice. Get well soon and drink some more wine. I hope that the wine really, 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 really helps with everything that's going on and how it's going around. So definitely, everything should be fine with you in that regard. But I think on that note, I'm going to end today's stream. I'm going to redirect you to Lee Reacts. He's watching the Real Madrid game. If you haven't already, people, smash the like, subscribe if you're new. Hopefully, I'm going to see you all tomorrow. Have a blessed week. Try your best. Get well soon, Dr. Seymour. And tomorrow, I'm going to see you for Brighton versus Arsenal preview. Peace.